like working with lions, swimming with dolphins, crocodile diving in Zimbabwe, riding a helicopter in the Grand Canyon, doing the gorge swing in Victoria Falls, and some really, really great experiences. But over the next 30 minutes or so, what I want to do, I'm going to take you through the whole journey of what are those key steps. And if you guys have ever been to one of our big events like The View, which for me is my favorite event, and we literally just got back from The View over in Florence. And then at this particular event, I've seen The View since I joined World Ventures. I've seen The View at least 7 times, possibly 8 times. And I think this View in Florence was by far the best one. And there was one of the characters that was in The View, that was the chef. And this particular character talks about, when you're creating the formula of success, it's pretty much like following a recipe to bake a cake or to cook something. You can't sit there and change one of the ingredients and expect the same result. So in the same way, over the next few minutes, when I share these 5 steps, you can't turn around and go, well, I like those 5 steps, but you know what? I'm going to create my own formula and I'm going to do 4 out of the 5 steps. It's just not going to work. It's the same way that if you're trying to bake a cake and you go, okay, I'm just going to skip the flour in this cake is not going to work, okay? So there were so many cool things and so many great analogies from this particular View. And that's actually a picture from The View in Florence that we just had. That's me on stage. I was one of the MCs for the event, which was a great privilege. Now, again, going back 6.5 years ago, in my head, to be up on stage in front of just over 3,000 people, that would have been unheard of. I remember I used to get tongue-tied doing a presentation in front of 15, 20 people. Let alone 3,000 people. So if you're one of those people that's right now, you're watching this webinar going, oh my God, that would be so freaky to be in front of so many people. Trust me, 6.5 years ago would have been freaky for me too. But if I can do it, anybody can do it. And that's one of the key things, is that sometimes we look at the end destination, we look at some of the top leaders that are walking the stage doing different things that we can't imagine ourselves doing. But what we don't see is the foundation that was being built behind the scenes every single time that we did something that pushes you out of your comfort zone. And this is one of the things that I'm going to focus on, is everything you want, guys. If you're sitting right now, for one thing, if you're watching this webinar right now, maybe it's even uncomfortable for you to stay present for the next 30 minutes without allowing yourself any distractions. Maybe that's uncomfortable for you because we live in one of those societies where we're always so busy, go, 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 trying to get things done, trying to, jam as many things into our schedule as possible, that maybe you're watching this webinar right now, and maybe you got your Facebook open at the same time, maybe you're going and you're looking at some of your friends on Facebook, maybe you got something else, maybe you got TV in the background, and if you are into that category of people that maybe that's what you've got going on right now, I challenge you to turn that off and be 100% present over the next 30 minutes. If you want to get full value out of everything that you do in life, just give the gift of being present to what you're doing. Because most of us going through life and we're in autopilot, and I see this so many times. A lot of people say to me, how come there's some people go to the events and they come out of that event and automatically they're like hitting new ranks straight away, boom, boom, boom. And some people go to 6 events before they have the same impact on them. Now, it's a number of things that can obviously affect that. But one of the things is also how present you are in the moment when you're attending a training or when you're listening to your mentor and your mentor's giving you, what are the next steps in your business in order to take your business forward. Are you truly listening at that particular time? Are you being 100% present? Did you get the message that you needed to get? Because imagine, I remember the first view that I went to in 2009. It was literally one character and two sentences that was enough for me to go away from that view and take my, I hit director 34 days later. I hit marketing director just over 3 months later. And my income went up tenfold 3.5 months later after I went to the view. And I could literally pinpoint it down to two sentences from one particular actually it was two characters that made a big impact on me, but two sentences from one particular character, that was the biggest thing for me, and one sentence from a second character essentially that really made the big impact. So imagine at that particular point in time, instead of me being present at the view, I was sitting there listening to the person next to me that was talking. Maybe I was messaging someone on my phone or on my iPad and I wasn't listening. Where would my business be right now? Okay, so that's a very powerful lesson in terms of what we're going to do next as well. So the first step, and this is going to be a practical webinar, guys. This is going to be a practical webinar. So I don't want you guys to just basically watch this passively the same way that you would be watching a television. I want you to play with me on this particular webinar. So do the things that I'm actually asking you so that way it has the impact that it actually needs you. So the first step, the first of the 5 steps to ensuring that 2016 is going to be your most powerful year yet, okay? One of the first steps, and this is not just in terms of 2016, this is in general with World Ventures, this is in general like in terms of what do you want from your life, okay? And one of the things, we talk a lot about having your why, having a goal. What do you want from World Ventures? And naturally, when we did the first fast that, when you guys joined that are on this webinar, chances are your upline or your sponsor did a quick fast start with you. And in that fast start, one of the first things that we ask people is, what's your goal? What's your why? What do you want to get from World Ventures? And a lot of people turn around and say to me, I want financial freedom, or I want time freedom, or I want more money, or they give me these things, but there's no emotion behind the goal. And that's the difference between saying something and actually connecting to what you're actually saying, which is what's going to make the difference. If you're sitting there and you're saying, I want more money, there's no pain in that. And your why, as you can see there from the screen, it says, what hurts you? What hurts you the most? That should be your why. So if you want financial freedom, a more powerful goal may be, what financial freedom is to you. I remember I was talking to a member just the other day, and that particular member said, well, for me, it's to be able to be in a financial situation where I don't have to worry about money again, where, I can sit there and say, I want to go treat myself to some new clothes or, a new holiday or something without going through the steps of asking myself, can I afford it? Will my credit card allow it? And sitting there and trying to always focus on whether I can make things happen to have choices in my life. That's a more powerful goal rather than just saying, I want more money. Or, I was talking to someone else the other day and they said, I was working a lot away. So I missed out on seeing my kids growing up. And for me, the money that I want to be able to create is to be able to help me to buy back some of the time and spend and create more memories with the people that I care about, to make up for all those years that I was working away. Again, that's a lot more powerful than saying I want time freedom. So write down for you right now, what is it for you? What is it that hurts you the most? That when you think about overcoming that, to achieving that, for example, it's enough to get you so fired up right now that it's going to keep you up at night. Write that down, and once you've written it down, I want you to type on the chat window that you've done it. Awesome. Cool. So I'm going to take you through the next step. Awesome stuff, guys. I can see a lot of you have done it. Great. So here's the next step. Whatever you have written down, I want you to visualize it as if it's already done. So for example, one of the first goals that I had from World Ventures was to be in a position where I could fire my boss. And the reason I wanted to fire my boss, not because he was a bad boss, he was actually a pretty decent boss. I just kind of got sick and tired of me working really, really hard to build someone else's dream. So, we used to work in a very aggressive sales environment. Some of you may have heard me share this story before. And essentially in our sales environment, if you didn't hit your targets 2 to 3 months...
kicked from this conference.
What was that? Can you guys hear me still?
Your line is now unmuted.
Let me know that you guys can hear me okay. Hello? Hello guys, let me know that you guys can hear me okay, because for some reason something just happened. Let me know that you guys can hear me now, guys. Let me know that you can hear me now, because it seems awesome. Excellent. Yeah, for some reason, I was talking about what hurts you the most, and the computer got a little bit hurt and kicked me off. So that was interesting. Anyway, so one of the things that I was visualizing every single morning, was going into the office and firing my boss the same way that he used to fire the rest of the employees, going into that office, pulling him into the conference room and firing him, okay? And essentially that's exactly what I did. 13 months of doing World Ventures part-time. One day I walked into the office, pulled my boss aside and fired him. And then of course I signed him up to World Ventures, which was even better. So you want to live that, like whatever goal that you've written down, you want to sit there and visualize it every single morning and every single night before you go to bed. And here's one question that I want you guys to add to your vocabulary before you go to bed every night. I want you to ask yourself, have I done everything possible that I needed to do today to achieve the goal that I have set for myself? Have I done everything possible today that's going to enable me to essentially achieve my goal? This question is either going to empower you or it's going to haunt you. I was doing a travel party for some of the group in London this morning. And I was literally, the travel party, because of the time difference in London, I started the travel party, by coaching one of the team members at 2 o'clock in the morning for me. And by the time that I finished the webinar and I got to bed, it was close to 5 o'clock this morning. And, a lot of people were like, really? Why are you actually staying up so late since you don't actually need to because you have the freedom? And my answer to this was, well, very, very simply, because for one thing, I love it, okay? Like I was so excited after that travel party that I literally couldn't get to sleep afterwards. And this is one of the things that I said to some of the UK leaders is put me to work, guys. I'm actually happy to stay awake all through the night. You know why? Because I've got so many big goals I want to achieve. I ain't done yet with World Ventures. For me, I feel like I'm just getting started with World Ventures. And when I find someone that's hungry to run, I don't care if I'm doing presentations with them at 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'll do presentations 24/7 if I have to. If I find someone that I can tell deserves my time and is willing to run for a season to make big things happen, then I'm willing to push everything aside and work with that particular individual. Okay? And I want to come back to that later on. I know I've spent a lot of time on this goal here. Okay? But I believe this is the key ingredient when it comes to World Ventures, because if your goal is not big enough, then when the challenges hit you, and the challenges will hit you at some point, guys. You know, I'm not here to scare you, but at the same time, I'm not here to sugarcoat it and let you know, yes, I know that you want to be financially free, and it's going to be a wide road filled with rose petals that you can walk on all the way to financial freedom. It doesn't work that way. First, the universe is going to challenge you to see how hungry are you to make that goal happen. Then sometimes magical things happen to align in order to help you to make it happen. But first you got to be ready for the challenges, and when the challenges come, it comes down to your goals. Now the other thing is who are you surrounding yourself with on a daily basis that's going to enable you to get towards your goals. Here's a very powerful thing, guys. If you're the most successful person in your circle, it's time to upgrade your circle. If you're the most successful person in your circle, it's time to upgrade your circle. This is going to be an aha moment for a lot of you. I'm not saying ditch your old friends, okay? I'm just saying that there's always going to be a circle of people that are going to be pulling you back, and there's going to be a circle of people that are going to be lifting you up. If you don't have a circle that lifts you up, then you need to stay close to your leader, to your mentor, to your upline. Someone that is actually making things happen. And if your sponsor is not making things happen, guys, you can go up as many levels as you would like. I mean, to give you an example, my brother is my sponsor, but we literally got started together. So essentially we were pretty much on the same level. And above us, our 3 uplines above us all basically quit, and at some point went to another company. Now, some people go, oh, my upline has quit. Now I don't have anybody that's going to support me. Actually, you know what I said? I said, that's awesome, because the next people right above us now is Matt Morris and Johnny Wimper. So it means we got direct access to them. So for me, that was a blessing in disguise, because I understood that it doesn't matter what comes your way. It's always the meaning that you attach to things. Okay? And that ended up literally being the best gift, because Matt Morris and Johnny Wimber have become two of my closest friends, and as well as mentors. They're more like family now. So that was a cool thing. Now, your sponsor, it's ideal if your sponsor's also making things happen. But if they're not, go find yourself a running buddy. You might even go cross-line. It might be someone in a different team. But make sure you're always very careful about who you choose as a running buddy. You got to make sure that if you have a running buddy, that they're actually running. Okay? Because somebody needs to set the pace. Now, if every single one of you sees yourself as a leader, then the leader set the pace. Followers, let other people set the pace for them. Leaders, set the pace. If you want your team to run, you got to outrun your team. Okay? So this is one of the things that I'm doing right now. I know that there's only, less than 33 days left until the end of 2015. I am back on a sprint right now. I'm back from the View in Florence. And one of the commitments that I made to the whole team, that was at the View in Florence, and I said to them straight out that I'm going to be working hard. In fact, I'm taking Christmas Day off, New Year's Day off, but the rest of the time I want to be doing travel parties, I want to be doing exposures, coffee presentations. I don't care. Every single day I want to be showing people, which is one of the reasons that I did the travel party last night early this morning, because I had 2 barbecues yesterday and I wanted to make sure that the day didn't finish until I showed some people at least, because that's the commitment that I made to myself. So, who's holding you accountable? Now, if you don't have someone to hold you accountable, guys, again, not a problem. You hold yourself accountable. The best leadership is self-leadership, okay? Now, I was watching this very, very powerful video by Matt Morris, and one of the things that it said, and I'm going to actually draw this out to you guys, because it really just makes it so powerful when you see it in writing, okay? I'm gonna, 1 second so I can show this to you. Right. So one of the things, I'm going to borrow this from Matt Morris, and I believe he borrowed it from someone else. And I thought this was very, very powerful. Okay, so I'm turning on my video camera so you guys can see me. Hello, hello. I'm in my office here in Perth. So what does it say there? It says, I will help you build your business. Now, this is one thing that I say to every single person that we bring into the business, okay? I tell them I will help you to build your business, but here's the magic thing, okay? This is how it works. My job is to do the top line. I will help you, okay? Your job as the new member, as the new rep, your job is to do the other two. You build your business. I will help you. I will help you build your business though. Okay, so what does that mean? A great analogy that Matt Morris used that I thought was very powerful. It's like if you're a jockey and you're running in a race, okay? When you're the jockey, okay, and essentially this is what you're at an upline. You're like a jockey and you're riding the horse, okay? Now at the same time, as well as riding the horse, that's not saying that our team members are just the horses, because at the same time, we're also the horse, okay? For us, we are the horse and we're also the jockey. But for our teams that we're leading, we're also the jockey. Now, imagine this. Imagine that, the horse trips over and falls down, okay? Have you ever seen a jockey get up, pick the horse, put the horse on his shoulders, and keep running to finish the race? You don't see that because that doesn't happen. The jockey needs to lead the horse to finish the race, okay? So, that's a very powerful example, and that's one of the things that I want you to have in mind. Yes, help your team build their business, but one thing that I always say to the team members is that you are the CEO of this business. If you were the CEO of a business, and let's say you had a challenge, okay? Let's say, for example, you had 3 people to show today, and your upline was out of town or anything like that, okay? So essentially, you had no support, in quotation marks. Now, would you turn on this and go, well, what am I going to do? I've got no support. No, you're the CEO of your business. If you don't work, you don't get paid. So as a CEO, what do? You find solutions. Now, I've never really had an upline as such, and I love Matt Morris and I love Johnny Wimber, and they've helped me a lot. But when I say they've helped me a lot, Matt Morris has actually done one travel party for me in the whole 6.5 years that I've been hanging out with him. He's come over and done regionals and Super Saturdays and things like that, and done big presentations for us, of course. But he's only ever done one travel party for us, and that's when I brought him up to Birmingham straight after the regional. We did a presentation. That's it in 6.5 years. He's never done a coffee presentation. In fact, I've only ever used Matt Morris for one 3-way call in the 6.5 years, and that was when we signed up a lady called Rebecca Panopoulos, and that used to lead a team of 100,000 people in another company. So I felt that was out of my depth at the time. This was 4 years ago, so I got Matt Morris on the phone to her. That's the only 3-way I've ever used with Matt Morris. When I've done 3-ways and used support for my personals, I've gone to my downline, I've gone to my sideline. In fact, most of the time I use my downline, and the reason that I do this is because it gives me a chance to develop them as leaders at the same time. Do you see? Let me know that you guys are hearing me loud and clear, because this is a very, very powerful message. Are you the CEO? Okay, this is what you're going to answer. Are you the CEO of your business? In fact, declare it right now in the webinar. I am the CEO of my business. Okay? Say it loud and clear. I don't care if you're in a room and there's other people watching you right now. Okay? Declare it. I am the CEO of my business. I am the one that leads my team. I am the leader of my business. I am the leader of my life, guys. This is very, very powerful what you declare out aloud, because we're speaking to reality what we want to create. Okay? Now, it's important to have a mentor, okay? But the mentor is not there to babysit you. The mentor is there to guide you. Now, I was talking to someone today in the team, and one of the things that they said to me is that we were speaking about a team member, that actually this particular team member is not very coachable. And she said to me, look, will you have a chat to her, because she just doesn't listen. And I said to her, I really won't. because I don't really have the time to speak to uncoachable people. See, if I tell someone what to do, okay, I don't tell them in a dictatorship way. I tell them in a leadership way. So if I'm telling someone, listen, if you want to have success in this business, you need to get booked for momentum. Now, I watch what that person does. If that person says, yes, 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 I'm going to get booked for momentum, and the next day I look into the back office and they haven't actually booked momentum, then I'm just going to question how coachable and how hungry that person is. Whereas if I've told someone else they said the same thing, and, I'm going to mention a name. There's a guy called Prince in the team, and I remember when I met him at the presentation, and I told him to book the View. He got booked for the View straight away. In his first week, he jumped on a plane, came to the View. Now, I don't know what Prince is going to do with this business. He's definitely showing the right signs to do something big, but only time is going to be able to tell. So be careful of calling people leaders too early, guys. Leadership is something that is earned through the results, okay? So, but I'll tell you one thing though, someone that went and actually did something really, really quickly, okay, and was coachable, for me that shows the right signs, and those are the people that I direct my attention to, if that makes sense. Okay, so find someone that's going to be a mentor, but also find a running buddy. And the key thing is, here's what you got to ask yourself, guys. Your paycheck right now in World Ventures or in your business is a direct reflection of what you've done in the last 90 days. That's the lag time that actually happens before you get your paycheck. Because we're all planting seeds, okay? Now, every single time you plant a seed, you don't go back to the seed and go, oh my God, why haven't you grown? It's been 2 days already, okay? But yes, some of you are doing that to your team members where you kind of like, you plant a couple of seeds, maybe some people join your team, and maybe they haven't produced much yet. And instead of sitting there and actually patiently watering them and giving them fertilizer, sometimes, you're sitting there and beating them with a stick. Now, there's a difference between leading your team and managing your team. Leading your team is being in front of the team, showing them by example what needs to be done. That's another reason that I did the travel party last night, okay? I want to be one of the hardest working people in my team. Okay, I want to inspire people in my team by going, if Efrosyni is up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, because there's people that are not on this webinar tonight because they said, oh my God, it's going to be at midnight. Oh my God, Now, if you're not willing to lose a little bit of sleep in order to make things happen, chances are you're not going to get very far. Now, I know you may not like hearing this, okay? But I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear, but I will tell you what you need to hear to take your business to the next level. And sometimes something may make you feel uncomfortable, and that's okay. Because if it makes you feel uncomfortable, it means you're heading towards the right direction. Now, if you're looking at the last 30 days, and maybe you're not happy with the results or the action that you've taken over the last 30 days, guys, this is not for you to go beat yourself up and go, my God, look, I'm such a waste of space. Look at what I've done wrong. I should have actually taken, more action. I should have shown more people. And next thing you know, you're beating yourself up. No. You need to be your number one cheerleader. Now, I live with a person called Melanie, okay, that's sitting here on the floor listening to this webinar, and she's smiling when I say you need to be your number one cheerleader, because she knows exactly, I pay myself compliments. Now, some of you are going, oh my God, that's a bit arrogant to pay yourself compliments. Well, it's not arrogant, okay? It's just you got to celebrate yourself because your subconscious mind reacts more positively to the positive stuff. And if you're waiting for other people to build you up, if you're looking to build your confidence through other people, guys, that can fail you sometimes. Sometimes you can have the environment around you that's not going to celebrate you. So if you don't celebrate you, then who else will? See, I don't need other people to celebrate me. I celebrate my achievements. Even the little achievements. If you said today, let's say as soon as I get off this webinar, I'm going to make at least 3 calls. I'm going to go book some appointments. and you go do exactly that, great, celebrate it, celebrate the little achievements. It's not just about the big achievements. So learn from what you've done in the last 30 days and do something different in the next 30 days. Don't punish yourself for what you did 30 days ago or in the last 30 days, but just sit there and just go, I'm going to make the commitment that in the next 30 days, I'm going to do something different. What is that commitment going to be? Okay? And if that commitment is, let's say, for example, okay, in the next 30 days, all I'm planning to do is I'm going to show at least one person a day. So that means at least 1 hour a day, I'm going to be showing a presentation. Now, that's a good step towards making things happen. And that's going to create some growth in your team. All right? One person a day is going to create some growth in your team. Now, that's 7 people a week. If you take one Sunday out because they, whether you believe in God or the universe or whatever you believe in, I'm not here to preach any particular religions, of course. But, it's good to have 1 day of rest. In my case, I have 2 half days of rest because I just prefer it that way. Okay? That's the way that I like to play my schedule. So if you're doing 1 presentation a day, that's 6 people that you're showing on a weekly basis. You might turn around and say, you know what? Every Saturday, I'm going to show 3-4 people. And then on 1 more night a week, I'm going to go to the presentation. I might take a couple of guests with me. Whatever it is, find what works for you guys. But find something that you can commit to without stretching yourself to so much that it scares you and then you kind of go into inaction. Okay? But stretching you enough that you're actually pushing yourself out of your comfort zone at the same time. That's a fine line. Okay? You want to stretch yourself, but you don't want to stretch yourself so much. Okay, so for example, some people go, well, look, I know that I don't even have my wings right now, but by United, 15th of January, which is literally 6 weeks away, I want to be director. Now, I'm not saying that's not possible by any means. I mean, we've got, Shane Anderson, Michael Sloggett, Jason Grossman. We've got so many people in our team that actually hit director in like 40-something days. Okay, so I'm not the person that's going to tell you you can't go do director in 6 weeks if you choose to, as long as the action backs up that particular goal. If you want to be director in 6 weeks and you're showing 6 people a week, trust me, that's not going to be enough. If you want to be director in 6 weeks, you want to be showing 60 people a week. You guys with me? Okay, so that's the difference. So your action, okay, needs to back up whatever you're committing to. 1 person a day is a good step. 2 people a day is going to show you faster growth. If you really want an explosion in your team, you want to show 3 to 4 people a day. Now, if you're working full-time and that's a challenge, no worries, but those are the numbers. 3-4 people a day is going to create a big explosion into your team if you do that consistently, starting with the next 30 days, okay? And like I said, guys, definitely celebrate. That is the 4th step. And here's the magic step right here, okay? So big decisions always happen at big events. We literally just got back from the View in Florence. Congrats, Samuel. Actually, who's booked for Momentum? Either Momentum in Serbia or Momentum in Australia. Write down on the chat. If you're booked, declare it right now. I just want to see who's booked. Awesome. Love it. Cool. Awesome stuff, guys. Awesome. So here's the magic right here. This one sentence would transform your whole business if you put it into practice. Okay? The more people you take to the big events, the little events, guys, are essentially there so you can take more people, because the little events is enough to give you the foundation and the key steps in order to build your business. But the big events are the key steps to explode your business. That's the difference. The small events build your business. The big events explode your business. The more people you take to the big events, the bigger the explosion. Here's a crazy number that I want you guys to bear in mind. When you take 30 to 40 people from your team to a big event, there's going to be some good growth from your team. 30 to 40 people. If you want a big explosion in your team, take 100. Okay? In fact, to give you an idea, when we took 500 people to a big event, this was February 2010. Within 6 months later, we put in 5,000 people in our team through those 500. So that means that our team went up tenfold within 6 months. Okay? Now let me give you some other numbers. We just finished the view. There was 3,000 people there. We had close to 1,300 people from our team was at that particular view. And we had close to 900 people at the last view that we just had in Australia as well. So we had close to 2,000 people at the two views. If the same things happen, that means over the next 6 months, we're going to put in at least 20,000 people in our team. I actually think it's going to be much more than that. In fact, I remember one year where we took 4,000 people from our team to one big event, and that year we put in 45,000 people in our team. Now, I know these numbers are really crazy, but that's the kind of crazy explosion that can happen later on. Now, if you're watching this webinar right now, and maybe you just got your wings right now, so you're like, these numbers are going over your head, then here's something simple that I want you to focus on. Every single team member that you get on board, have the same conversation with them that I have with pretty much everybody, where I tell them right from the word get-go. In fact, before they get started, I tell people straight out that if you want to build the business, if you want to make money, you would be crazy to try to do this without going to the events, without going to the trainings. I tell them, okay, straight from the word get-go. And the reason that I do that is because I don't want to sign someone up with the wrong mindset. I want them to sign up realizing that they're going to have to invest in their future, that it's not going to come by itself. Now, someone's saying no sound. Can you guys still hear me? Let me know that the rest of you can hear me. Okay, cool. So, might be something with Dion's sound there. So, guys, the next big events that is happening, we've got Momentums, but obviously we've got Orlando United as well. I don't know if there's any tickets left for United. I'd be surprised if there are. If there are tickets, then great, okay? I just know that before we had the view, there was only 2,000 tickets left, and they also had the regionals at the same time, and I know that a few hundred people actually got booked for United at the view as well. So, big thing, if you can't make it to Orlando, guys, you know, don't beat yourself up, okay? Worst case scenario, Momentum. If you can make Orlando, Orlando's going to go down in history because it is the single biggest event that we've ever done in the history of World Ventures in 10 years. It's also our 10-year anniversary. And this is basically kind of brings me up to, you know, the promotion. Decide. What are you going to decide? Now, decide, okay, essentially means to cut off all possibilities. Right? When you make a decision, when you make a commitment, you're cutting off all possibilities. It's almost like, you know, I don't want to say do or die kind of attitude because that sounds a little bit morbid, but it's basically playing to win without the option of failure. Okay? Now, there's a great story, Alexander the Great, when he was basically facing a battle, and it was literally, they'd been, you know, him and his army were fighting for years, and they were exhausted. They just wanted to get back home to Greece because they've been traveling so much and doing so many battles. And they had one of the big battles against, I believe it was the Persians, and they were outnumbered about 10-1. And what Alexander the Great did is that during the night, he went and got some of his trusted soldiers, and they went and they burnt all the ships. And he came back to his soldiers the next day, and one of the things that he said to them, he goes, now we don't have an option because we've got no ships. There's no retreat. We either we win or we die. Now again, I don't want to be morbid, it's an analogy in terms of the death. But if you sit there and look at the goal that you wrote down at the beginning of this particular webinar, yes, you're right. He does talk about this, Samuel. Mark Cassetta talks a lot about this as well, and Matt Morris, because it is one of the greatest stories about having an all-in attitude. And but that's the kind of mindset that you want to come in when you play. See, a lot of you're dabbling in World Ventures, but you're not playing all in World Ventures. You're giving it a shot to see what happens, but unless you play to win, you're not going to have a shot, guys. And I'm not telling you go quit your job. I'm not telling you to do any of that. When I say play all in, you might only have 5 to 10 hours a week to spend in World Ventures. But those 5 to 10 hours a week that you're playing World Ventures, because it is a game at the end of the day, then during those 5 to 10 hours, you're playing all in. That means you're 100% present, you're 100% focused. During those 5 to 10 hours, you're showing people the dream trips, you're showing people the business opportunity. That's what's going to get you paid. Talking about it is not going to get you paid. Thinking about it is not going to make a difference. But making things happen, this is the magic in order to move forward. So guys, this is the time right now. When we get off this webinar, I want you to do 2 things. 1, make that decision of what you're going to commit to over the next 30 days. Like I said at the beginning of the webinar, for me personally, I am sprinting the next 30 days. Why? Because I know what's going to happen at United. I've got inside information of what's going to happen at United. And I'll tell you what I've seen just the last week, I was talking to my best friend Louise, and she's got a friend from her primary school that just signed up to Dream Trips in someone else's team, literally the day before she saw them. So if she had shown them 24 hours earlier, who knows, they could have been in her team. Now, yesterday I was at a barbecue. I met someone that I actually met previously, and I totally forgot, through my best friend Uni, Jonas, and he's also in the team. And he didn't show this particular lady properly, and she's actually joined now World Ventures. They've known each other for 30 years. They used to play when they were kids back in Sweden, to give you an idea. But because he didn't show her properly, she didn't really get what World Ventures was about. He verbally puked on her, essentially. And what happened is that she's gone and joined another team. Now she's actually realized that what he was trying to show her. If you don't tell your friends, someone else will. Me personally, I'm going to show as many people as possible. I'm going to connect with as many people as possible over the next couple of months, essentially. Because when this app goes viral, I want to have so many people in my bucket that I've connected with that I just throw them straight into the app, okay? Because they're there and they're anxiously waiting for the app to come. Because, whether they get started or not, for me, it's not a no. It's a not right now. If they don't get started now, great. I'm going to get them to download the app anyway. Sooner or later, they're going to get started. Do you see what I mean? So what are you willing to commit to? What are you willing to sacrifice over the next 35 days? Make that decision. The second thing that I want you to do is I'm looking for every single senior rep and above. You guys know who you are. If you're a senior rep and above and you're on this webinar right now, I want you to choose 3 to 5 people from your team that are really, really hungry right now. They're not saying the words. They're really hungry right now, and they've made some big decisions. So if you remember right now, you're listening to this and you feel that this is you, have a chat to the senior rep and above in your team, the leader of your team, and let them know you want to be the one. And those people, we're going to basically identify who they are based on their actions, not the words. And I'm going to be working with them personally. And if you're doing a travel party and I can be on Skype and you're in London, you're in Cyprus, I don't care, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm happy to do that for you. I'm happy to be on Skype. I'm happy to help you to build your business because I'm sprinting over the next 35 days. So if you believe you're one of those people, have a chat to your leader If you want someone that's a senior rep and above and you've got some people in mind, let's have the conversation afterwards. Guys, this is it. This is what we've been waiting for the last 10 years as a company. All leads to what's going to happen in the next 45 days when we get to United in Orlando. This is the time, okay? So don't miss the boat. Don't be one of those people that makes the mistake of watching things happen. Be one of those people that decides today to make things happen. Get out of your comfort zone. Pick up the phone. As soon as you finish from this webinar, pick up the phone. Who cares if it's 10:30 where you are? Pick up the phone. Speak to somebody. Do something as soon as you finish from this particular webinar. Let's make things happen. And when it comes to the promotions, all you need to focus on is just focusing on running as much as possible. Then you look back and you have a look at your results. You get 10, great. You get 4, great. Whatever you get over the next 30 days when we've got these promotions, make the most of it, guys. So have an amazing week. Let's make this a record-breaking month. Thank you for trusting me to be on this webinar, guys, at the very, very last minute. And I know that I said 35 minutes, but I know there's been 45 minutes. So let's rock and roll, guys. Have an amazing week.
Your line is now muted.